Hi, Pete's fans. Welcome to another episode of For Pete's Sake, your podcast, everything Peterborough Pete's. I am your co-host, Josh Reeser. As always, with me, my twin brother, co-host, Encyclopedia of OHL Knowledge, Matt Reeser. We are recording on February 10th, which is following Super Bowl Sunday. Hopefully you guys had a chance to watch the game, maybe eat some good food, enjoy some good company, and absolutely watch the Chiefs get rocked, which made me happy. How did you feel about that Super Bowl game, Matt?
Yeah, it was kind of over early. The Eagles really were impressive in it.
And that made you happy or sad?
It made me happy. I was cheering for the Eagles. I mean, I am a Cowboys fan. They're in my division, so I don't really want the Eagles to win, but I feel like I just wanted someone to beat the Chiefs.
Gotcha.
Not because I don't like them. I just like seeing variety. I like different teams winning.
For sure. Yeah, I think many more people were cheering for the Eagles than the Chiefs. And what did you think of Kendrick Lamar?
I did not see the performance.
You missed the halftime?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. That's like the main reason I watched the Super Bowl. But anyways, we'll stick to hockey. This is a hockey show, but that is one of those yearly sports things that I feel like a large portion of the world watches, so I figured we'd touch on it real quick. All right, this show we missed last week. We got caught up with some life stuff, so we were unable to record. So this week we will be going through a whole bunch of game recaps dating all the way back to last week. We're going to have an updated playoff picture for you because the season is running out of runway very, very quickly. Before you know it, we will be in March, and then it's playoff time, and hopefully the Pete's will be there. But we'll let you know what the chances of that are and what we think could happen. We'll do our 3 stars as we always do, and then a huge week ahead, which we will highlight for you. The biggest games of the year are this week. Every game going forward has to be the biggest game of the year, but definitely this week, and we will tell you why. So we will jump into it. Without further ado, dating back to last week, the Pete's played 2 games against the Brampton Steelheads, and they had another game against Oshawa Generals. It was a 3-game in 3 nights. Those could definitely be a grind, as you know. First game was a home game, and Brampton won 4-3 versus the Peterborough Pete's. Pete's actually started really great in this one. They were up 2-0. It looked like they were kind of taking it to Brampton. They weren't afraid at all. They were playing tough. They were shutting down the big guys. And then it was 3-2. Brampton started to battle back, tied the game. The Pete's managed to jump ahead again, get another lead early in the third, go up 3-2 on a power play, a 5-on-3 power play. Brampton would, however, score and then get the go-ahead goal a little bit later in that third period. The Pete's had a glorious chance again. 2 minutes left, just over 2 minutes. Had a lengthy 5-on-3, almost the full 2 minutes. And it was a disappointing power play, to say the least. They not only did they not score, they weren't generating much. There was a lot of passes up high around the peripheral. Very few bodies out front of the net. And I don't like to question the coaches. Coaches know better than me. Their goalie, the Pete's goalie, remained in net. I thought maybe a prime situation where you pull the goalie. I mean, you're already up 2 guys, so I kind of get it in that sense. And, they can ice it with no fear of, they can shoot the puck down the ice with no fear of icing because it is a penalty kill for the other team. But I was just thinking, you go 6-on-3, you can throw 2 Pete's bodies in front of the net, which forces probably 2 of the 3 Steelhead guys to cover. And then you can move in because there's only 1 guy that's left kind of defending the perimeter. Instead of staying way out high, you can still look for your puck movement and shots, but it forces a crowd in front of the goalie, which I think is essential on the power play. If the goalie sees it, he's going to save it more times than not. And then if you miss the net, you have 4 guys retrieving the puck over their 1 guy. which you should win. So I just thought from a number standpoint, it would have made sense. So I came away, I know it's only one goal loss. I came away a little bit bitter from that game because I felt like they had a shot. And I felt like their deployment on the power play specifically was not good enough. And it was a disappointing way to not even really give yourself a chance, even though you had this glorious opportunity. So I walked away with a bad taste in my mouth, even though it was 4-3. Again, the coaches, I'm a Rob Wilson fan. I like what he brings to the Pete's. But I was questioning that decision. I'll be honest. As a fan, I don't understand why the goalie was in. I don't know if you have thoughts real quick, but you go up 5-3, 2 minutes left. I think, like I said, these are all must-win games. Are you pulling the goalie in that moment? Or are you keeping him in and reconfiguring the power play a bit? Because something needed to change.
Yeah. I don't disagree with the starting with a 5-on-3 because they had over 2 minutes on the clock and seeing if you can put one in quickly. But if nothing's happening, I believe I was seeing, and they just got over the opposing blue line. It was a 5-on-3 still. The fourth guy was about to come out of the box. They had, I think, 12 seconds with possession in the other team's end.
Yeah.
And their goalie wasn't out. And I was like, get the sixth guy in there before the fourth guy comes on the ice.
Yeah.
And it wasn't working. There weren't shots getting through. So at that point, if you lose 5-3, it doesn't matter. If you lose 6-3, it doesn't matter. You still don't get any points. 4-3 doesn't get you a point. It might get you a little bit respectability, I guess, but when you need the 2 points as desperately as the Pete's need in every game, you kind of throw the kitchen sink at the other team and see if they can hold. And I didn't really see them throw everything they had at Brampton on that power play.
Yeah.
They got too tentative. There's one time there's 3 guys at the top of the blue line out of your 5 skaters, which is fine. They were trying to get position, but I didn't even see shot attempts. It wasn't like there was even throwing anything at the net and hoping for the best.
And it was so hot. You got to move in close.
Yeah.
That's the one thing. It's easy. Like I said, we're fans. We're watching from up top, but they're passing up high, back and forth and back and forth. And we were I think you and me were verbally move in. You have guys that are great. One-timer shots. Taylor has a wicked shot. You have guys that can move the puck. That's fine. But you can't have everyone around in an arc and no one out front. Because the way you score on the power play is if a goalie sees it, even if it's a hard shot, they're good enough these days that they're going to save it. So I don't know. I wanted more ruckus out front, but we can move on from that game. I don't want to take up all the time because we do have a bunch to go through. So left that one disappointing. The good news was the next night the Pete's traveled to Brampton to avenge what was a disappointing loss. And they came out on top of this one, a high-scoring game, 5-4. Brampton actually got the first one of this game, so a reverse of the game before. Peterborough responded well. 3 straight goals. McCullum, Stonehouse, Matacek got the Pete's rolling. Brampton would score to end the first period and then tie it up with the only goal of the second. And then Taylor and Fitzgerald scored less than 2 minutes apart in the third to take that lead, go up 5-3. Pete's would hold on for a 5-4 victory, a push from Brampton. They did put one in to make it close, but they were able to hold on. And that kind of just made, it was great, but it kind of just made the game before sting a bit more because it showed, we can play with Brampton and, there were points there. But anyways, nice to get the win, nice to respond. And Matacek showing that he's not just a goal scorer, he's not just a defender, he also is an enforcer, getting into a fight in that game and not looking horrible, I would say. Not looking, I don't know if he should be fighting every game because we need him on our defense, but not looking bad. So good on Matacek for stepping up and not taking any crap from Brampton. And then the third game in 3 nights, another victory for those Pete's, beating the rival Oshawa Generals in a shootout. Pete's 3, Oshawa 2 Eula would give the Petes a great start. Face-off was won by Fitzgerald, and Eula was able to snap it home. Oshawa would tie the game very shortly after, and it was it was 2-1 for Oshawa partway through that second period. They ended 1-1, and then Oshawa took the lead in the second. Quentin Page sparked the team like he usually does, dropping the gloves with a much bigger Andrew Gibson. And then he potted the tying goal late in the third period. You could tell this was one of the games he just refused to lose. And he's an infectious player. When he gets going, it rallies the boys. I hope he's back next year and wearing a letter, because I think he's one of the guys that is absolutely the heartbeat of this team. And then it looked like a bit of a scary moment for Jonathan Malee. He took a blindside hit. He was fortunately okay. It did lead to a 5-minute major game misconduct for Oshawa, which I thought was more than valid. Peterborough's PK was perfect on the evening, and they ended up going overtime, solve nothing, into a shootout. The regular guys take the shots, Caden Taylor and Gavin Bryant, and both of those guys were able to pot it for a win. So the weekend, actually not bad. 2 out of 3 possible wins, which is what the Petes need to do. They need to string together some victories if they have any shot of the postseason. But yeah, could have been 3, or at least another overtime game in that first one. So that was my thought. Not a bad week. Nice of the boys to respond after that tough first one and get 2 victories. Heading into the next week, which saw a first game against Flint Firebirds and former Pete Sam McHugh. How did that one go, Rat?
Yeah, so you're hoping the week before kind of sparks you, especially being at home. So and Flint has to travel, and they're playing a lot of road games because it's a road. They're going to probably play 3 or 4 games in the span of 4 days. They come to Peterborough. You want to catch them off guard. We always seem to have trouble with Flint. It's like the Greyhounds in Flint the last few years have been like a thorn for the Petes. I remember last year Flint was way down there, and they came to Peterborough and kind of sparked our kickoff to the poor finish in trades and everything. We were supposed to beat them at home. And this was kind of it got off to a great start. Your fourth line goes out and forces a turnover, and Levesque scores. So you're liking the start. Unfortunately, that was kind of the only positive on the night. Flint just seemed to get man advantage after man advantage of like 2-on-1s, 3-on-2s. The Petes just looked slow at certain points in this game, which can happen. But they couldn't get the kind of gear going, and Flint just kind of took advantage of that. They used to fight. Partridge fought Mania that kind of got Flint going, and that was that he fought, and then Flint scored the next 4 goals. And then the Petes actually matched Flint in shots in this one. It was 33-33, but it wasn't really. The difference was the quality. Flint had so many just tap-ins, not covering your guy right in the slot. And the Petes were throwing a lot from like the outside.
And just hoping. Hoping on a prayer that something would happen.
And then Flint went 2 for 4 on the power play, so 50% on the power play. And it was nice to see Stonehouse get rewarded because he's been working his tail off, especially the last few weeks, and he scored the other goal. He had 5 shots on net in this game, and he was also even on a night where the Petes lost 7-2. So that's pretty good.
Pretty impressive.
They just didn't really get going. I think this was probably a little bit disappointing for them because it's the first game of 3. And Flint just kind of put their foot down on your home ice. And not much of a pushback. I'm not saying the Petes gave up because they never do, but they just couldn't get the gears going.
Absolutely.
And then you got London the next night in London, which is a tough game. And I think London, I don't know if you saw much of the game, but they just control the puck. They just keep it. It's like they just kind of pass it around, wait for the right time to enter the zone. They just controlled the pace of this game. They came out on fire in this one. I think the Petes only had 1 shot in the first 12 minutes or something. And London gets up 1-0. I did really like their response after that. The Petes kind of made a push near the end of the first and started getting some shots, and then really came out in the second and kind of dictated for a bit. And it was nice to see Fitzgerald. He kind of used his strength to get clear of a guy and got a really nice pass from McCallum and put it in, and it was 1-1.
Mm-hmm.
But then I think this has been an Achilles heel all year for the Petes, is they sometimes have these really tough pinches that don't go their way. And one of their forwards made a pinch at the blue line on the power play, and it sent London in on a 2-on-1 shorthanded, and then they scored. I don't want to look up how many shorthanded goals the Petes have given up this year.
Seems like a lot.
It's been noticeable.
Yeah, it seems like a lot.
And that kind of that was the winner, the shorthanded goal. And then London would score the only goal of the third. And then McCallum would drop the gloves with O'Reilly in the third, get a little scrap going. But this game the puck was controlled by London. Easton Rye held them in for large segments of the game.
He's played well against London, even in losses. Yeah.
The shots were 13-4 in the first, and it was only 1-0.
Yep.
And then it was 1-1, and Easton Rye was making several quality stops, really keeping his team in it. So that's all you can ask from your goalie. But again, I didn't hate the effort from the Petes. They were right there. They just couldn't get that second goal. They had chances. But again, it's a tough team to beat in their home barn, and London just kind of played a perfect home game.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And then it was kind of looking like a bleak week, but I think the Petes kind of went to Sarnia on the third of 3 games and said, we're not going to lose. And they did a great job in this one. I thought it was a very strong showing. Sarnia opened the scoring, but Francis Parrish got back-to-back power play goals in the second period, and the Petes went up 2-1, and Colin Fitzgerald got 2 more assists in this game. He got a really, really nice assist on the first power play goal, and 2 of the 3 periods ended with the teams engaged in altercations with guys like headlocking each other and throwing each other to the ice, so it was spirited. And then the shootout, I don't think people can say enough about Taylor in a shootout. He's automatic. He just goes in and you're like, he's going to score.
Yeah, I agree. He's one of the guys I see him and I have so much confidence that he's just going to bury it.
Yeah, and he's not one-dimensional. He'll beat you with a shot. He'll deke.
Yeah.
He's just so dangerous.
Yeah.
Which is great for the Petes to have a guy like that. You can just throw out there and know that it's going to go in the back of the net. I think he's only missed 1 shootout goal this year.
Yeah, his percentage is high. Yeah.
And then
I love it.
Sarnia would kept scoring in the shootout. They were actually up 2-1, and the Petes had to score, and Fitzgerald just poised, went in and scored.
Yeah.
And they go to the extra shooter, and then Rye makes the save, and then Stonehouse gets the winner, and you get 2 big points out of a week where you hadn't got any points yet. So that was really, really impressive for them to hold on and get those points. And it was led by their young guys, which is what you want to see too.
For sure.
Your spotlight in this one was Fitzgerald.
Yep.
Taylor with the shootout goal, and Parrish with 2 goals, Rye in net.
Yep.
And I think it speaks to your confidence in Rye, because they started Rye on back-to-back games.
Yep.
Bowen's not hurt.
No.
And Rye was put in against Sarnia after the London game.
He's earned it.
Yeah.
He's been phenomenal this year. There's
the hot hand.
Yeah.
And that's not saying anything against Bowen, because Bowen is...
He's been solid too. It's just, Rye's been playing so unbelievably well.
Yeah.
How do you take him out?
Yeah.
You can't.
You can. And we'll get to this later, but Bowen is really, really good against Ottawa as numbers. So maybe that's the reason you give him a little bit of rest.
Yeah.
But we don't want to spoil that, because...
Yeah,
we're going to talk about that in a bit.
We'll tee that up, yeah.
The one thing I noticed was Kaiser was out of the lineup for those 2 losses. I mean, the 2 games, London and Sarnia. I don't know if he's hurt.
Yeah.
But he wasn't in there. Malee didn't play.
Yep.
But what is his name? Strohack and Cameron were back.
Yeah.
Which was good to see.
Which is great to see.
So they're starting to get healthy, but they're still battling some injuries.
Yep.
I don't think Kaiser's done anything to not be in the lineup, so I'm assuming he had some kind of thing they're resting or But anyway, big 2 points there for them over Sarnia, and you move into a huge week, which we'll talk about in a second. But there could have been a few stars of this week, but Number 3 for me is Stonehouse. He's been kind of the engine that goes even when they're losing a game.
Mm-hmm.
He finishes checks. He's hard on the puck.
Mm-hmm.
He got rewarded with a really nice goal against Flint, and then he got the big shootout winner, which I think he deserved to be in there and shoot. And I think he's been a great addition for this team.
I agree. I was skeptical when they brought him over just because, he's a little bit of a pest. And, but he's a guy, the saying, you love to have him on your team, hate to play against him, a la Brad Marchand. And I think he's been he's fit like a glove.
Yeah.
So, good on you, Brady.
Yeah. Second star has got to be Francis Parrish, 2 goals against Sarnia. Nice to see him get his first multi-goal game.
Hard worker.
Yeah.
Yeah. Gives it all he has.
Yeah. And then our first star, and this guy's been really impressive lately, Colin Fitzgerald.
Yes.
Goal and 2 assists this week, but he's been scoring more frequently lately, like almost every game. I think he had a stretch with goals in 3 straight.
Yeah. And goals where he's driving the play. Like, I've noticed too, like, a goal's a goal.
Yeah.
You go to the dirty area, you finish a tap in, like, it's still hard to score that way. But then there's other moments where you are driving play.
Yeah.
And even when he's not, like the 2 Parrish goals, one he drove wide to beat the defender and made a beauty feed out front to Parrish to tap it. Like, he's becoming like a dominant player. He looks like he's a 3rd overall pick at this point, which is absolutely what you want to see closing out the year and heading into hopefully playoffs and next year as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like, I think it goes along with this development because in his draft year, no one was talking about him.
Yeah.
And then as he kind of went into the second half of his season last year, he started piling up points.
Yeah.
Getting better and better, and that's what you're seeing. He's
And
learning the game
games.
and getting better and better every game. He's taking big draws. He's getting big points.
Yeah.
He's still physical, but I think he's learned to tone it down so that he's not taking penalties, which is huge. I think he's very good at knowing what he needs to work on and improving those aspects. And I am very excited to see what he becomes as a player. Not to put too much pressure on him, but he looks as good as any 3rd overall pick
I think he's putting pressure on himself. Yeah. I don't think it's unreasonable to say, we need you to be a dominant player in this league, and I think he can be. Like, I think with the pedigree of a 3rd overall pick and size and skill that he has, I think he can absolutely do it.
Yeah.
So, and I just wanted to add in, you mentioned it, like, got put up some crazy numbers towards the end of his draft year. So it got better as the year went on, but also as the games got more meaningful, and that's where we are.
Yeah.
Like, we're getting into a stretch of season where the games absolutely are huge, massive, and I think that's when he's historically risen to the occasion.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to see him hopefully do that for the Petes.
Yeah.
I think he could be an absolute massive reason if they come out with some big weeks here.
Yeah.
So good on you, Colin Fitzgerald, Francis Parrish, and Brady Stonehouse. Rest of the guys, there were other guys that obviously played well too, but can only pick 3. And so let's have another solid week and make it hard on us to pick again next week.
Yeah.
All right, we got to get into our playoff push here. We've been talking it up. So the Petes, 17 games remaining. Their past week saw, this is my thing. Like, the Petes seem to have a great week, and then not great, and then good, and then not good. Like, you go back the last 4 weeks, you start with that week where they played the Colts and Niagara and beat both those teams, who were both at the time we played them number 1 in the conference, and they lost the other game in extra time. Like 5 of 6 points. Were playing amazing. And then they have a game against Sault Ste. Marie and Sarnia. The Sioux have unloaded, are not kind of trending down, and they lose 7 or 8. Was it 8-0 or 7-0? I've cleared it from my brain. I can't. It was a shutout, lopsided, didn't look great, and then they lost again a couple nights later to Sarnia, and it was just like Erie. Sorry, Matt, correcting me here. I'm getting my team, but Erie team without Schaefer, a team that's not way down there in standings, but the Petes can play with, because we just showed we can play with the loaded up Barrie Colts and Niagara. And then you go back to last week where you take 2 of 3.
Yeah.
You could have potentially even had 3 of 3 with
Yeah.
that game that we mentioned against Brampton.
Yeah.
So you're showing that you can do it again. And then the following week, you have that stinker against Flint. London, London's a great team. It is what it is. I wasn't as upset with that one.
Yeah.
And then you managed to sneak out a couple points, but at some point you're going to need to avoid that back and forth and just consistently throw wins together. It's the only way you're going to get back into it. And I think that almost makes it harder as a fan when you see moments where they can do it.
Yeah.
And you expect it, and then they come out and play not so great.
Yeah.
And quite honestly, like when we've expected it, it's been 2 of the worst games of the year.
Yeah.
The Flint won 7-2, and then the 8 or 7-0 loss to 7-2 to Flint, and then the 8 or 7-0 loss to the Sioux. I can't remember exactly what the score was, but those were like arguably 2 of the worst efforts we've seen, and they came off such highs, which is torture for a fan when you go back and forth. You almost want, if you're gonna lose every night because your team's rebuilding and you're not strong enough and you're having a rough stretch, that consistency is easier to take than the back and forth. And we need consistency the other way, where we're winning because we can do it and they've shown they can.
Yeah.
And they just need to stretch it together. So anyways, that's my prelude to this playoff push here. 17 games remaining. The Petes can still do it. They've had a couple of tough weeks. They've had a couple of great weeks. We're chasing Ottawa and North Bay still. Both teams are 5 points up on the Petes. And Ottawa is not playing great. They've lost 3 in a row now. They're scuffling. They've kind of unloaded a bit. They still have Luca Pinelli, but they've struggled to win since the deadline. They've struggled to score since the deadline. They've beaten us, I think, 3 or 4 this year, so they've played the Petes well, but this is a team that's moving in the opposite direction. The Petes should be rising, like we're in the second year of our rebuild, and Ottawa looks like they're just about to start it. So we're kind of going in opposite directions. This is games we need to take care of. We have a couple matchups against them this week that we're going to tee up, but they're catchable. Like 5 points doesn't seem like a huge distance to me,
especially where we were.
Exactly, yeah. Especially when if we had just started the year like mediocre instead of with that historic losing record, like I think we're fighting for 6th, 7th, 8th right now, and we're in. And then the other team, North Bay, 5 points. They have 2 games at hand, so it's a little trickier. We're going to need some help to catch those guys, but you can only control what you can control, and that is the games remaining against every team, but especially against Ottawa, because you give yourself a shot that way. So playoff picture is very much still alive. I'm fired up about it. They need to keep winning. Every single game from here on out is a must win. You got to play it like a playoff game. You got to, when you have, moments to go for it, you got to go for it, but you got to be smart. And you got to play each game like it is a game 7, because we are going to very, very quickly run out of room here. 17 games might sound like a lot. It is going to fly by. I promise you that. And I want there to be playoff hockey this year. I love Pete's playoff hockey. One of the best things out there. So let's get it going. 5 points back. 5 points back of Ottawa, 5 points back of North Bay. I believe we can do it. In fact, I'm saying it's going to happen. I don't know if you have a prediction, but I'm feeling it. I think we can. I think the boys believe, and I think they're ready to get motivated and go for it.
Yeah, it's a team that's been in every game this year, most of them anyway.
Yep.
There's been a few like every year where every team has a few blowouts.
Yep.
But even the games they've lost, they could have won. I just don't want to look back at the end of the year and be like, oh, there's 12 games here. We lost by 1 goal.
Yep.
And we miss out by like a point.
For sure.
And like you said, that Sioux week really hurts right now for me anyway, because it was only a 2-game week on both on home ice with teams traveling, playing back-to-back nights, and we didn't get a single point out of that. Imagine you get a win out of there or 3 points. We're sitting 2 points back right now. And it's like you can't live in the future. I know that, or the past. I mean, sorry.
Yeah.
But they need to kind of buckle down.
Yep.
After whistles, take the push to get the power play. Don't fight back.
Yeah.
We need to be disciplined.
Yeah.
Because when we are disciplined, we can win games. When we start taking a lot of penalties, we get into trouble.
Agreed.
So stay out of the box if they can.
Yep.
And put your foot down, and there's nothing to save it for.
Yep.
You just got to kind of empty the tank. And the teams that usually do that at the end of the season and are going in on a good streak are usually hard to beat. So maybe that gets you...
You're not wrong. Yep. Yeah, we go
right
in
now, I don't
fire.
want a high draft pick. I want some experience in the playoffs.
Absolutely.
That's where we're going to be the next 2 years, is in the playoffs. So I want that to be not our first time next year. I want it to be something we can build off.
For sure. Absolutely. I agree. Well, let's tee it up. I kind of mentioned it already, but this week is absolutely massive for the Petes. 3 games. It starts on a Wednesday this week. They have a Wednesday game against Ottawa.
Victory against Ottawa.
A Wednesday victory. I like the way you think. And a Thursday game against Ottawa as well. Back to back against the team you're chasing. You're 5 points back. You get 2 wins in regulation. Think about this. You're 1 point back. It's got to happen. These are absolutely the most crucial games of the year. I'm saying right now, they win both of these games. I feel like it's going to absolutely jumpstart these guys, and a playoff picture's in sight. If they lose these 2 games, don't think they will. I have a feeling they got this, but I think the postseason rides on these 2 games. You lose those 2, it's all of a sudden a stretch, and you're feeling, more than that, you're feeling demoralized. Like you had it within your grasp, your fate was in your hands, and you let it slip. And that just can't happen. The boys need to be absolutely fired up. I know Rob Wilson will have them prepared. But if the boys, there's no way they don't recognize how absolutely important these next 2 games are. Fans, you got to get out there and support the boys. If you can tune into the game Wednesday, let them know you're watching. If you're in the Ottawa region, you can get into the rink. Support the boys on the road. And then Thursday night, pack that rink, because the boys feed off the electricity and they need that win. So massive, massive 2 games. I can't say it enough. And then they end the week with another Eastern Conference team, Kingston, who has had the Pete's number but this year. But another team the Petes can play with, if they play the way they can. So, they need to start banking points, and they absolutely, in my mind, need to have those first 2 games win, and not only win in regulation. No points for Ottawa. We need to catch those guys, and then work on catching North Bay as well.
Yeah.
So I'm very excited. I'm fired up about it. I can't wait to see what happens. A little bit nervous, if I'll be honest. Just like I want the pizza in so much. Not that I don't think they can do it. Just like, palms are sweaty, kind of giddy, nervous. But the boys need to come out firing. And I think we'll see very early on if the boys are ready to play. And I hope they come away absolutely on fire after this week, and it kickstarts a long win. Yeah. I think it very well could be. So, massive, massive game. How are you feeling? Any predictions for these 2? Like I said, I'm feeling it. Yeah. I think, I don't know what it is. I just feel like the Petes, it's their time. Yeah. And I think this week is going to decide the postseason. I'm getting a good vibe. I think the Petes win both against Ottawa. I don't know about the Kingston one. Maybe an overtime game there. I'm not ready to call that either way. I'm too fixated on the 2 Ottawa games to really care about Kingston, to be honest. Yeah. But I think 2 big wins, we're going to look back, and that propels us into some fun hockey down the road. That's what I'm calling. Yeah. Ready to go. I'm about to, have heart palpitations here. I'm getting too fired up. So, You talk about your while I recover. You take your thoughts on this week.
Yeah, it's there. You just got to take it a game at a time. Can't get too excited about playing back to back. Don't look ahead.
Mm-hmm.
Look what's in front of you. You have, I know it's back to back, but the other team's back to back too. So they're going to be just as tired as you are. So you don't have to worry about kind of playing a team that's a little bit rested. And then your veterans in this one have to step up.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking for your captains and your assistants and older guys to kind of take the lead here.
Yep.
Drag them into the fight. We have more talent on paper than Ottawa. Doesn't mean you're going to win, but use that to your advantage. Start creating mismatches. Finish your checks. Get in on the body. I'm predicting Paget will be dominant.
Yep.
Stonehouse will be dominant.
Yep.
Playing his old team.
Yep. Fitzgerald, keep it going.
Yeah, we'll keep going. But
Yeah.
I'm expecting actually a big week from Young. I think he's going to come out of he had one of those weeks earlier in the year, and he's kind of on the surface of getting back to that dominance.
Yep.
And I think he's going to get going against Ottawa. I think it's a perfect team for him to
Very good.
take advantage of.
I would love that. Awesome. Well, let's get to potentially 3. Let's go 3 for 3, but absolutely win those 2. And like I said, support those boys. Let them know you're behind them. It absolutely makes a difference. And I can't wait. And I want more hockey. So let's make that happen. Another quick news before we end the show. I forgot to mention, did you happen to see that 50 and 50 thing with former Pete Nick Lardis? 50 goals, 50 games.
It's impressive.
He joined some very elite company, including former Peterborough Pete and Nick Robertson, who also accomplished that feat a couple years ago. So good on you, Nick Lardis, former Pete, Chicago Blackhawks draft pick. He's absolutely tearing up the league this year. He's a very good player. We had to get rid of him in order to bring some good players in. We knew we were probably giving up a very talented player, and it looks like he's having a very good career for himself in Brantford with those Bulldogs.
Yeah.
So, well done, Nick Lardis. And on that note, I don't know if there's anything else besides absolutely we need to see you down there on Thursday. We need to beat Ottawa. Back-to-back wins coming up. Let's get fired up. Let's make it a playoff atmosphere starting now to show the boys what it can be when playoff games actually happen. So that's our show for this week. Thanks for tuning in. We'll have our video posted to our Facebook page. You can also listen on Spotify, and we will have the links to our YouTube page as well on our social media site, which on Instagram is at 4PTB, Pete's Sake, and our Facebook page, which is For Pete's Sake. Thanks for tuning in. Massive week ahead. Stay warm out there. Enjoy yourselves. And as always, go Pete's go!